So we get these promises from God. We seek Him out. That's humility. We seek Him out because humble to be exalted. We seek Him out for counsel. What do you want me to do with my life? And He gives us promises, things to work on, instructions. It's seed time and harvest. So why does God require us to give through all these processes we go through, all these seasons? It just doesn't seem fair, right? We're already going through situations. Why do I have to give from the little bit of money I currently have? Why does it have to get even harder? Well, from what I've gathered over the years, this is kind of a testimony, is as we give and we're trying to walk out what He's told us to do with our lives, we're giving and we're not relying on money that way. We're relying on the Spirit to direct our steps, to go ahead of us and create a path, and to help us walk out those promises God's given us. By giving tithes and offerings, you're no longer relying on accumulating money and storing up money to trust in to finance everything you're doing. Most likely the money you have isn't enough anyways to finance everything God's called you to do. So as you sow and give where you're fed spiritually, it's a sign that you're not leaning on mammon. You're leaning on God to get you through this and to walk you through this and to help you manifest those goals. Also, you're tapping into God's provision because your seed, your tithe and offering pulls on provision in heaven. No matter what's going on the earth, no matter what drama, lack, famine, lack, when we sow tithes and offerings, we're pulling on a kingdom, on a system that has no lack, no problems. And God is bound to His word. He's not a liar. Seed time and harvest will remain. You sow an offering, you obligate God to provide for you. You're not buying anything from God. You're trusting His system and operating in faith. It's a system. You sow a seed, you pull on provision from heaven. That's the system. And it's real. And you can get provision no matter what's going on in the earth, trying to prevent us from having things. There can be a total mark of the beast going on the earth where we can't get food as Christians. But I believe as we sow tithes and offerings, God can make ways out of no way. It's true. He can make a way where there is no way. He's our provider. He can cause things to happen to fulfill His side of the deal that He would provide if we operate according to His system by faith. Seed time and harvest, sowing and reaping. So the process of humble to be exalted. Humble is leaning into counsel and walking it out. And the exalted part is you believed, you walked it out, now it's manifested. And God got involved and helped it to manifest. You took your steps, God took His steps, it all came together. That's the exalted stage. But God had you sowing seeds, giving offerings along the whole process because it causes you to lean on Him and trust in Him and not in mammon, not in money. And not only that, but you're putting seeds into the Father's hands to cause multiplication and to be your ultimate provider. As you're waiting and going through the suffering process of being molded for what God's called you to do in the future and be in the future. And he's molding you through circumstances and life. And you want it to change, but it's not going to change until it changes you. And that's the molding process, the suffering process of how God molds the clay. We're clay in the potter's hands. And in that process, he has us sowing seeds, giving tithes and offerings, where we are being fed spiritually and encouraged. These offerings, these seeds, seed time and harvest, tithes and offerings, these offerings are weapons. We're on this path walking out words God's given us to walk out. Well, there's spiritual warfare, and then there's also, what can I do to cause increase? How can I set up more increase along the way and keep setting that up? Well, we give offerings along the way on this path, this process that we're walking out to fulfill promises. We sow seeds, sow offerings all along the way, daily, as much as you can. Keep putting offerings in the ground. It's a weapon. God is bound to it. He's bound to his word. He promises to honor our giving, our tithes and offerings. David knew something about seed sowing, tithes and offerings, and giving. He was giving on a regular basis to ministries, to prophets, getting breakthroughs, getting God to move. Your seed is a weapon. So as you're walking out your promises and you're going through things and you need God's help and you want to sow for increase as well and schedule increase for your life, you're using your seed, your money, something of value as a weapon. No matter what's going on around you, you have this gift of being able to put seeds in the ground, and God has to respond to it. And he does. He's obligated. He watches over it. So keep giving as you're walking out your promises, and it doesn't seem like anything's happening. It is happening. It's like a carrot underneath the ground. You can't see it. It's growing. Then you pluck it up when it's time and it's fully grown. It was there the whole time growing. You just couldn't see it. That's how it is when you're walking out your promises from God. And as you walk out your promises, you're giving offerings unto the Lord for his help and for his breakthroughs and for increase. Keep doing that. Keep putting those seeds in the ground as much as you can. If you sow little, you reap little. If you sow much, you reap much. It's a weapon. Whenever you're going through things in this process, and you will go through things, storms and opposition and warfare, use your offerings as a weapon. It seems unfair. I'm already going through things. Why do I have to give the little I have? Well, if you hold on to little, bigger can't get to you. Not only that, but it's a weapon. Yes, you can meditate on the word and use praise as a weapon. Those are weapons, for example. But your offering, it's a seed. It's also a weapon, and God responds to it. He's bound to it. He's obligated to honor your offerings. That's how David had success a lot of times in his ministry and his walk with God. Whenever there was an emergency, nothing was happening, he needed God. He brought an offering unto the Lord, and the Lord heard him and moved.